my fellow freedom lovers and sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful land of enchantment, which is also known as New Mexico. Today's date, Sunday, October 2nd, 2016. Just had a chill for a couple of days and relaxed. So just mellowed out. Not probably go too many rants. Just interesting thing. They had a report from Infowars that the State Department made some threat to Russia if they stop killing ISIS. It's like the road to World War III. So who's pulling the strings here? I guess the banksters are. So I have to always, I'm always real critical. I don't always tell these bobbleheads, even that guy Kirby, his name is Kirby, who was represents the Department Secretary of the State Department. If you guys act so big, go on the front line. Let's see how tough you are. You and your pathetic cronies, okay? Everyone's sick of it. People are really catching on what is happening. Okay, you could take your New World Order platform and shove it up your rectum, as far as I'm concerned. And I hate using this rhetoric, my friends, but I just get insulted, and hopefully you understand that. But first of all, let's gonna hit a few areas here. This one came from TrueActivist.com, and it was breaking. Came out today. It says here, British PR firm paid $500 million to create fake terrorist propaganda in Iraq. And it says here, controversial UK PR firm Bell Pontinger fulfilled a lucrative Pentagon contract making fake videos about Al-Qaeda, some of which were planted in innocent Iraqi homes following U.S. military raids. A public relations firm based in the UK was paid $500 million. See, $500 million, okay, by a Pentagon to create fake terrorist videos in Iraq, according to the Bureau of Investigative Journalists, or BIT. There's a link for that, so you can check all the links and make your own decisions, folks, all right? The PR firm Bell Pontinger is no stranger to controversy, as it also represents a variety of questionable clients, such as Saudi government and the dictator Augusto Pinochet's charitable foundation. Bell Pontinger took the project not long after the U.S. invasion of Iraq, and was initially paid to make videos promoting democratic elections, though this later devolved into more lucrative videos related to psychological and information operations. A former employee of the firm, Martin Wells, told BIT that he was sent to Baghdad soon after being hired by Bell Pontinger as a video editor, and he began editing content for secretive psychological operations at the U.S. military camp Victory, where he had and other Bell Pontinger employees worked in highly secured areas where they reported directly to the CIA, National Security Council, and the Pentagon. Can we say Mind Control 101? The Bush White House, as well as General David Petraeus, signed off on the produced content. The PR firm worked under the Information Operations Task Force, IOTF, as well as the Joint Psychological Operations Task Force, GPOTF, which the Pentagon confirmed, though they declined to comment on the firm's work to the JPOTF. Most of the videos were targeted at Iraqi civilians. Can we say 1984? Films were edited to look like they came from Arabic news sources, while others commissioned videos were commercials portraying Al-Qaeda in a negative light. Many videos were falsely attributed to other groups or individuals, or had their American English origins hidden. As an example, a bombing would be filmed with low-quality video, which was then edited to look like news footage. Then it was given to local TV stations and presented as unbiased news. Next on Comedy Central. Many of these videos then made their way onto U.S. and U.K. news, which served as proof of Al-Qaeda's presence in Iraq, which only foreign militaries could eradicate. According to Wells, the videos had very specific instructions, including specifications for style, length, file format, and types of stock footage. The videos were then made to be readable only by Real Player, which does not run without an active internet connection. The CDs contain the videos also contained Google Analytic codes, which allow the military to track IPS addresses of any computer that play the video. Big Brother's watching you. That's how they do it, my friends. Most of the videos were picked up in Iran, Syria, and the U.S. Well said. If 148 hours or a week later shows up in another part of the world, then that's the more interesting one. And that's what they're looking for more because that gives you a trail. This allowed the videos to have added intelligence value. And you can see the slime, you can see some of the folks here, Bell and James Henderson of Bell Pontinger PR firm. Yep, exactly. However, some of the films ended up serving an even more sinister purpose. Bell Pontinger also paid was also paid to make fake Al Qaeda propaganda videos, which were then planted by the U.S. military in the homes of innocent families after their house was raided. The presence of these videos at the scene was then used as justifications for the raid and likely also for any civilian injuries or deaths that occurred as a result. Despite this, Bell Pontinger's chairman at the time of the contract, Lord Tim Bell, said that he was proud of the work the firm had done in Iraq, saying, "We did a lot to resolve the situation." Bell Pontinger, however, was not alone in creating and maintaining the U.S. military's massive propaganda machine in Iraq. The U.S. PR company, the Lincoln Group, was caught placing articles in an Iraqi newspaper which that had been secretly written by the U.S. military. In addition, the Pentagon also hired the Rending Group, another controversial PR firm, that monitored the reporting of journalists embedded with the U.S. military in Iraq in order to make sure their coverage of the military's mission was positive. So you can't be critical, you gotta be positive, because we say so. Now that the propaganda has been legalized for use against the U.S. population, one can't help but wonder how many PR firms are now involved in other domestic global conflicts. Well, all I gotta say, I am not surprised, my friends, because if you check out Propaganda by Edward Bernays, it will tell you about public relations, manipulations, and the people. Okay? And this is another Edward Bernays' 101. Propaganda 101, correct. As far as I'm concerned, these guys are just Palmolivists. They want to do this so they can make their buck and go, yeah, we did a great job on fooling the people. But you know what? With all due respect, they haven't fooled me. They haven't fooled a lot of you folks out there. Maybe to the doubtful Thomases, because, oh yeah, we're doing this for freedom. I will sell my soul to the police if I still love my country and I'm a patriot. That's what you call mind control. So I'm going to add the propaganda, okay, by Edward Bernays, so you can folks really kind of see it for yourself. It's very startling, and very startling here. So I'm going to hit that while while I'm going to be doing that. So it's just they're going to continue on, proceed. They do the same thing with Syria. Okay, they're going to do the same thing if they're going to talk about attacking Iran. Like, we're the good guys. We're doing this for freedom and democracy for the world. This is how they want you to be con and go, yes, it makes a lot of sense. And you just got to tell these folks to stick it up their ass, plain and simple, man. I just get a little bit annoyed on all this debacle. So yeah, definitely gonna add that to it with the whole it's from the website historyisaweapon.com and propaganda by Edward Bernays. You can read it on the web, so there's no excuses, my friends. And I probably did that before my past shows, my footnotes. I've proceeded again in good faith. So definitely check it out and wake up. Wake up all your brothers and sisters out there, okay? And this came from the reportuk.org. And it says here, breaking exit poll shows 95% of Hungarians have rejected EU migrants quota. Daily Express, that's the name of the website. Says here politicians from the ruling Fidesz party claim victory in a historic vote shortly after polling stations closed in what would be a major blow to the EU project. The party is led by Eurosceptic Hungarian President Viktor Orban, who had vowed to quit as the country's leader if he failed to win the majority in today's. Reacting to the expected result tonight, Fidesz Vice Chairman Gergely Gulyas said, based on these data, we can rightfully say that today was brought as a sweeping victory for all those who reject the forced settlement of migrants, and for those who believe that the foundation of the EU, of a strong EU can only be strong nations. However, there was also a blow to the president's pride with the voter turnout projected at 45%, below the 50% threshold, to make the referendum valid in Hungarian law. Earlier, the hardline Budapest attempted to shrug off the lower than expected turnout, which critics have seriously undermined the result of the vote. Mr. Orban said a valid referendum would be better than a void one, but it will have consequences on the public law either way. The only condition is that the no votes should be in majority. We took upon us that we will change the law, and in the future only the Hungarian parliament can decide who we want to live together. Can decide who we want to live together. Okay. Then he added, in case the yes vote will be in majority, I resign. As he cast his vote earlier today, the tough-talking PM also called on EU members to states to rebel against the beleaguered European Union over the migrant crisis. The anti-immigration leader, Mr. Orban, launched his attack on Brussels just moments after he voted in a nationwide referendum in the Hungarian capital Budapest with his wife. Speaking in English, Mr. Orban, who has been leading the Keep Them Out campaign, said, we are proud that we are the first, and unfortunately we are the only one until now in the European Union who have managed to a referendum on the migrant crisis. I would be happy to see other countries follow, but anyway, I have responsibility of the leadership of Hungary, not for other countries in the European Union. Today, Hungarians will turn out for a nationwide referendum after the EU announces migrant quota plans to resettle 160,000 Syrian refugees among the existing member states. The people of Hungary will be asked if they want to accept any future EU mandatory quota system for resettling migrants. If a nation votes reject Europe's mandatory plans, it will be a major blow for the already failing 27-member bloc. The country's hardline leader has urged Hungary to say no to all migrants after hailing Britain's momentous vote to leave the EU as a nation taken back its island. Ever since the migrant crisis erupted last year, with more than 1 million refugees pouring into Europe, Hungary has taken a robust stance on defending its borders. The country was on a direct Balkans route used by migrants to make their way from Greece into Serbia and Croatia. In response, tough-talking Mr. Orban insisted enough was enough and ordered his borders with Serbia and Croatia to be shut. Razor wire fences were erected along the border, forming a 108-mile bench, and the number of border forces along the Serbian crossing more than doubled. But this hasn't stopped people making the perilous journey. Hungary has registered more than 19,000 asylum applications this year, and it's believed more than 14,000 migrants have crossed its southern borders illegally. You're going to expect that. I have to respect the Hungarian people, even though it was a big majority, on standing their ground against the European Union's project, the EU project. The whole thing is this: how many of them are really authentic? That's the question. And how's the country gonna benefit them, and vice versa, not just one way. That's how I see it. And when the they gotta stop the bloodshed in there in that country. Of course, U.S. intervention, the whole ISIS New World Order, sidekicks ISIS is in there, ISIL, whatever the hell you want to call them. It's completely irrelevant. And I know past readings and so forth, was they want to use a pipeline, or they say, oh, God, it's like what's that jackass name? Jackass Kerry, Secretary of State Kerry. Oh, we gotta get rid of Assad, or anyone in the Obama administration. You know what? You go in there and fight. Then I'm sick and tired of your garbage. And you know what? You go and fight. Let's see how tough you are. Okay? I don't give a damn. That's how I see it. But let the people in Syria handle their own battles. They got to do it on their own. That's why when you bomb the daylights out, when you're bombing using ISIS and so forth, don't matter. The good people are going to suffer from it. And how many actual honorable folks are really fleeing? I don't know, but I do find it's disturbing. We got to stop the war in Syria, stop the bloodshed in Syria and everywhere else. Okay, so this is how I look at it. It's just more of a imperialistic step, what's going on in Syria. But the Hungarians and Prime Minister Orban, hey, he's right. Like him or not, he just he said what he believed in, because he's against the Club of Rome, and I don't blame him. It's part of a Club of Rome platform. Look it up. Don't be shy. So look up Club of Rome. You'll be surprised. All right, I was watching this video today, and by Raw, pretty interesting stuff. And it was NSA warning NSA expecting second wave to impact Earth October 2016. Global unrest. From before it's news. It's by Jay Will. The video's on there. It says here, USGS issued warning in California due to a possible 7.0 plus earthquake. A lot of websites on here. Let's check it out. Could a major shockwave of energy be heading right for planet Earth? Inside military sources said NASA is watching the sky for this global event to reveal itself in October 2016, what they called it the second wave. And again, in December of 2016, with a power punch of energy as we humans have never seen before, which we believe could affect up to 1/3 of humanity. In 2004, NASA recorded the biggest pulsar wave come into contact with our atmosphere in human recorded history. Scientists detected a flashlight from across the galaxy so powerful that it bounced off the moon and lit up the Earth's upper atmosphere. The flash was brighter than anything ever detected from beyond our solar system, lasted over 1/10 of a second. NASA and European satellites and many radio telescopes detected the flash and its aftermath on December 17, 2004. The scientists said the light came from a giant flare on the surface of an exotic neutron star called Magnetar. The apparent magnitude was brighter than a full moon and all historical star explosions. The light was brightest in the gamma ray energy range, far more energetic than a visible light on X-rays and visible to our eyes. Such a close and powerful eruption raises the question of whether an even larger influx of gamma rays disturbing the atmosphere was responsible for one of the mass extinctions known to have occurred on Earth hundreds of millions of years ago. Also, if a giant flare can be this powerful, then some gamma rays burst thought to be a very distant black hole forming star explosions could actually be from neutron star eruptions in nearby galaxies. Could NASA be expecting a second wave to hit Earth as soon as this October 2016? And if so, what do you think December is going to do for us? If you notice the report given by NASA on their page about the event, it was after it had already happened, not before. With that said, will they tell us this time if they believe it could be worse? With so much speculation to the end times, And what should we expect to see in the coming of the end times? It's rather hard to believe anything anyone says anymore. Mike from around the world makes some very good points of reference to our recent concerns of climate change and what reason for the climate chaos really may be. So, seeing the video on here, so you check it out. Please take a moment to listen to this presentation, decide for yourself what you believe. If Mike was saying in this presentation is true, then we are all in for a real awakening very soon. And I've seen it, and it's interesting stuff. And I'm not gonna be a very huge skeptic on it, or I'm not gonna, be living in fear as well. The universe is very complex, a lot more than we know. But of course, solar flares happen and so forth. It affects the power grid and cell phones, etc., even on computers. The truth of the matter is, we have to always see things in a bigger picture and prepare ourselves for the worst. So, like I said, if you guys are prepping out there, regardless, good. Do it for anything because you never know. Even myself, I've been prepping up for a lot of other things, and this can be one of them too. I'm not saying I'm a genius or an expert. I admit that in these areas. However, I always like to see things at a more astronomical perspective about where we live and so forth. So I always say, man, make your own decisions, still live, not out of fear, but awareness. That's what I do with my show. Everything I try to do is awareness. So it's a good video. Observe responsibly. So check it out, okay? All right, next one here came from The Land Destroyer by Tony Carlucci. He got some pretty interesting stuff here. A lot of stuff in Asia and so forth. And it says here, White Helmet, Save Appello, protest prove how easy it is to dress up as actors as war victims. And it says right here, recent protests held across North America and Europe, staged by supporters of armed militants in Syria, have staged scenes in Western streets eerily similar to those featured in the photos of videos as the U.S. European-funded Syrian Civil Defense, also known as the White Helmet. And as it reads down here, Saudi state media Ali Arabiya English would report in an October 1st, 2016 article titled Worldwide Protests Against Assad, Russia to Save Aleppo that the stalling talks between international powers in Syria, with Russia ramping up its air raid campaign, has ignited worldwide protests calling for an end of the horror in Aleppo. Protesters in Turkey, France, Netherlands, America, and Canada took the streets opposing Bashar al-Assad's and Russia's crimes in Aleppo, carrying the posters that read, "Stop bombing Aleppo, save Aleppo." And Aleppo, I think it's Aleppo, yeah. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And of course, says here Al Arabia's ironic hand wringing over Syria as Radi devastates Yemen with its own aerial bombardment and ground incursion, attempts to portray eastern Aleppo as a horrific cauldron where more than 250 civilians were trapped without food or clean water. And while undoubtedly war is raging in eastern Aleppo, it should be noted that the vast majority of Aleppo population, 1.75 million, in fact live in the government-controlled majority of Aleppo. But despite this reality, the West and its allies, including Saudi Arabia, have attempted to use their sway over international public opinion to exaggerate Syrian security operations and fabricate a humanitarian catastrophe to serve as yet another pretext for wider Western intervention. Central to this appeal to public opinion has been called the so-called White Helmets, also referred as the Syrian Civil Defense, despite the nation of Syria already having a legitimate professional civil defense force posing as an impartial rescue force. The White Helmets are transparently auxiliaries serving exclusively side by side, armed by militants, including U.S. State Department, UN, and EU designated foreign terrorist organizations. Their primary function is not rescuing anyone, but to manage a public relations campaign aimed at swaying public and political opinion, leveraging humanitarian sympathy worldwide. Their primary means of doing this is publishing photos and videos of their members wearing elaborate matching uniforms and driving brand new ambulances, pulling dust and blood-covered victims from rubble allegedly brought down upon them by Syrian and Russian airstrikes. The veracity of their photos and videos and many claims have never been independently verified, and in many cases, evidence suggests that much of what they present to the public across their extensive, well-funded social media presence has been fabricated. The recent coordinated Save Aleppo protests held across Europe and North America perhaps revealed just how transparently fabricated and fictional the White Helmet's work really is. During one protest, photos retweeted by the official White Helmet's Twitter account showed actors dressed up as war victims, covered in fake dust and blood, appearing almost indistinguishable from alleged victims the White Helmets regularly save in Syria. The protest stage in European streets, far from the Syrian conflict, even included children, likewise covered in fake dust and blood, cradled in the arms of adults, posing with despondent looks upon their faces. Also part of the stage scene were actors dressed like White Helmets themselves. While the acting troupe that organized this protest may have thought they were cleverly bringing the conflict to the streets of Europe to invoke global sympathy for the cause, what they really proved to us was just how easy it really is for the White Helmets to create war victims anytime, anywhere. In Syria, where years of U.S.-backed violence has left many parts of the country devastated, such stage scenes playing out with devastations of war as a backdrop all much more convincing, with White Helmet videos heavily edited before reaching the public. They are able to create tragic scenes of war anytime, anywhere, even in the streets of Europe, thousands of miles away from where Syrian and Russian warplanes are operating. Their primary goal is that of the special interest funding them tens of millions of dollars is to manipulate the hearts and minds of the global public in support of Western-backed armed militants, not save lives nor bring peace to Syria. Yep. Always got to look at these things in the bigger picture. And that's why I said before, we got to stop the U.S. entangling foreign entanglements, period. The U.S. shouldn't be there. None of them shouldn't be there. The Syrian people got to really make their own decisions on what they want. And like as I've read in the past, even with Congressman Paul, he discussed the stuff that, like in 700 years, the Jews, Muslims, and Christians were living in peace for 700 years. And we all know Assad was part of some secular party. And feel people have their disagreements with the man, okay? The man didn't be too crazy about him, but everyone else coming in made it a lot worse. Control, that's all it is. It's a control game. Hold on here. That's how I see it. So always observe responsibly, to study all the information on your own. Then you can make that decision, folks. Because, hey, I said before, I want the United States out of there. Period. Let the banks just go in there, fight for it on their own. Okay, let's see how these Ogies, how these tough guys are. So enough of that. Next one here came out a couple of days ago, I would say. Yeah, activist post. Bears buys Monsanto. More to his merger than meets the eye. By Janet Phelan. The chemical giant company Bayer has just purchased the agricultural biotechnology company Monsanto for $66 billion. This union is redolent of marriages between members of the medieval royalty, accomplished or not out of love, but out of desire to keep the goodies in the family while expanding the reach and control of the royals. In this case, the real nature of goodies requires special scrutiny. Monsanto is hardly an unknown quantity. The global company specializes in herbicides and genetically engineered seeds, most notably Roundup herbicide and genetically modified Roundup Ready seed. The impact of Roundup has raised levels of alarm as it is thought to contribute to the worldwide spike in autism, heart disease, and other illnesses. Genetically engineered seeds have also endangered concerns and have connected with an increased risk of certain types of cancers. Bayer is a global German-based behemoth producing both chemicals and pharmaceuticals. Unknown to many, however, is that it reaches extends into water as well. Like food, even perhaps surpassing food, water is also life. Bayer was founded in 1863 and later became part of IG Farben, which manufactured Zyklon B used to gas Jews, gypsies, political dissents, homosexuals, and others during the Hitler years. Okay, hey, hey. Following the war, IG Farben was broken up into a number of smaller companies, including AGFA, BSAF, Sanofi, and Bayer. Yeah, BSAF. That is, they do a lot of videos, which was correct. They manufacture the videotapes in Japan. All right, interesting. Video cassettes. Throughout fluoridation, the water in the concentrated camps, the Nazis maintained a level of chemical control over those imbibing the water. It is a contention of this author, based on years of extensive research, that plans exist within the United States and her allies to potentially use domestic water systems as delivery systems, for example, for a chemical or bioweapons attack under the guise of a naturally occurring pandemic. As extreme as these contentions may be, the supporting documentation is overwhelming, including blueprints, changes in domestic bioweapons legislation, which grant immunity to government agents for violating the existing biological weapons laws, changes in legislation to criminalize government officers for revealing information about water systems, and more. On the surface, Bayer's involvement with water may seem peripheral. Bayer's website states a concern for water use efficiency and sustainability and admits only that Bayer's operates production facilities around the world, but only 2% of its water usage takes place in areas officially classified by the World Resource Institute as water scarce. What sounds like a fairly modest reach into water is belied by other corporate positions held by its governing and supervisory board members. Martin Deckers was CEO for Bayer from October 2010 to April 30th, 2016. During this period, he also sat on a board for General Electric, which is also heavily invested in water technologies. The chairman of the board of management at Bayer from April 2002 until April 30th, 2010. Werner Wenning is also a member of the supervisory board of Siemens AG in Munich, I think it's Munich or Munich. From May 20th of 2011 to June 2016, he was also chairman of the supervisory board of E.ON AG, which is in Dusseldorf. While Siemens and E.ON are heavily into water, Siemens report that it offers a comprehensive portfolio of integrated automation solutions and drives for water and wastewater treatment, seawater desalination, as well as solutions for water network and pipeline management. E.ON Energy's principal water-related activities are centered in the German stock exchange-listed company Glassenwasser AG. According to the CSC, according to the SEC, Glassenwasser is the largest privately held water utility in Germany based on volume of water deliveries. The former top dog at Bayer also maintained a significant involvement with water companies. Dr. Manfred Schneider, who was chairman of Bayer from 2002 to 2012, was also chairman of the board of the utility giant RWE. RWE was a subsidiary named American Water Works, was quietly buying up water systems throughout the United States. Bayer's involvement with water does not end with this chairman, however. Other individuals sitting on the supervisory and management boards of Bayer have extensive involvements in other corporations that treat and deliver water. Those corporations include Lanza, Emerson, Lane, Evonik, Inno- Innovations Region, Rhineshes, River, GmbH, Cobalt Corporation, Envia, Metal Dush Energies AG, and Solzer, to name a few. Names of the individuals who sit on the Bears board have other corporate involvements with water companies include Sue Ratchda, Petra, Reinbold Kneip, Thomas Eblings, Dr. Clemens Borzig, and Dr. Klaus Strani, among others. Walter Brauman was appointed chairman of the board at Bayer in May of this year and appears to have no other corporate ties. The marriage of Monsanto and Bayer may result in a consolidation of control over not only the food we eat and the medicines we take, but also the very water we drink. These three consumables, food, medicine, water, constitute the very stuff of life. Ever there was a marriage conceived in Hades, this may be it. Oh, yeah. Scary stuff there, my brothers and sisters, but we have to be vigilant. So now the whole thing, they may not be using Monsanto names, may have to use um, March Against Bear, right? That'd be the right. March Against Bear, because the whole merger became official. $66 billion water. So expect some real, like, they're gonna try to put some drugs in our water. They say, oh yeah, it'll be healthy for you, but make us dumb down, more stagnant, and be possibly zombified, Lord willing. So water filters, Calo Blue, that'll be your best bet. Do everything more naturally, and that's what things are. But things are happening if people are seeing this. So it just really boggles the mind. Welcome to Globalism 101. Well, like I said, now be March Against Bear, right? But folks, pay attention, okay, my friends? All right, next one here came from Express.uk. Ooh, sorry about that. Colombia rejects historic peace deal with communist rebels to end 52-year conflict. Here's by Charlie Pete, which came from AFP here. He goes, the country has been plunged into uncertainty the following vote. The South American nation has been plunged into uncertainty after the momentous vote to strike a deal with Marxist group FARC. President Juan Emmanuel Santos had hoped to end the 52-year war after 4 years of negotiation with FARC leader Tomilian Jimenez. The ongoing war was so far killed 260,000 people, but 50.24% of voters opt against the deal. Wow. Santos, 53, previously claimed there is no plan B to end the war, despite rebels agreeing to lay down their weapons and join the political process. Opinion polls showed Santos will comfortably, but the no camp triumphed with the smallest of margins. Many in the country were delighted to reject the deal. Colombians were asked for a simple yes or no on whether they support an accord signed last Monday by Santos and the rebel commander, FARC, whose numbers were half to about 7,000 in recent years because of U.S.-backed military offensive, had agreed to turn in weapons and the fight for power at the ballot box instead. The deal would have ended 52 years of conflict. I don't want to teach my children that everything can be forgiven. That's by Alejandro Jaramillo. Under the record, FARC, which began as a peasant revolt in 1964, would have been able to compete in the 2018 presidential and legislative elections and have 10 elected congressional seats guaranteed through 2026. Voter Alejandro Jaramillo, 35, an engineer from Bogota, said, I voted no. I don't want to teach my children that everything can be forgiven. Juan Manuel Santos has celebrated the deal before the vote. Former Vice President Francisco Santos, a prominent NOTO supporter, said, it is a clear message. I ask all citizens to trust. We will know how to handle the situation without agitation. We'll work with the government to remake this accord. President Santos will now address the nation following the humbling defeat. Just 1 week, I'm celebrating with world leaders that he had ended the conflict. Well. Is this more of a cloak and dagger thing? People infighting, battling amongst themselves. And the question is this, my friends: who is actually benefiting from this? Okay, That's one thing you gotta look at for sure. So it's gonna be more division in that country. Expect more conflict. But the people themselves, they need to empower themselves and say, up yours. We don't need this bloodshed anymore. And you know what? I'm not gonna say it's be perfect, but they got power too, man. Can't just rely on the government and all this. But this is pretty bad, you know. And the Indian Communist rebels like, hey, read Communist Manifesto, man, is it's self-explanatory. So I'm not really too keen about this at all. But it's been a real shame that innocent people are being slaughtered even 52 years. So I hope, and of course, corporations are like to give everyone the up yours as well. So people in Colombia's got to make their own decisions on this. But they like I said, they voted majority vote on that. So, but hopefully they can pursue more peace with themselves. It's more essential. As far as I'm concerned, there's bigger fish to fry, my friends, in that country. All right, finally, yes, I call it the jokester thing. It's by Politico.com, by Michael Hirsch. It says here, LeBron endorses Hillary. And so I will as it reads here, Cleveland Cavaliers star LeBron James endorsed Hillary Clinton Sunday evening, the day before the Democratic nominee is scheduled to visit James' Ohio hometown of Akron, campaigning on the economy. In an op-ed piece published by the Business Insider, James said his goal after winning multiple NBA championships is to mentor and provide support for children who grew up in Northeast Ohio. When I looked at this year, there's a video for that if I'm correct. But I look at this year presidential race, it is clear which candidate believes the same thing, James wrote. Only one person running truly understands the struggles of our Akron child born into poverty. And when I think about the kinds of policies and ideas that kids in my foundation need from our government, the choice is clear. That candidate is Hillary Clinton. Okay, so explain this. I'm going to continue on here. The Ohio is prominent battleground state, according to Politico's battleground state polling average. Trump's registered 43.4%, supporting among likely voters, with Clinton at 41.2%. Trump is rallying Republicans across the country, despite Governor John Kasich's lack of endorsement of the GOP nominee, who bested him in the primaries. Obama carried Ohio in both 2008 and 2012. James also wrote that Clinton will build a legacy of my good friend, President Barack Obama. I believe in what President Obama has done for our country and support her commitment to continue his legacy, that legacy he wrote. I just got a question for LeBron James. Out of respect, where the hell you get your information from? Can you explain to me, like, you want to endorse a warmonger? Okay, and you praise drone man Obama. Tell to the people, tell to the Libyan children that. All right, and tell the people, and what's another thing? You think Barack Obama the great president? He's a freedom hater, and you support another one, Hillary Clinton. Look, you may be a great basketball player, but you know what? With all due respect, this particular rhetoric, you gotta do your homework, my friend. And all these LeBron worshippers out there, if you're gonna believe him, then you're part of that Jim Jones. You have the Jim Jones syndrome. And don't get me wrong, he's a great athlete. He's a great entertainer. You know, he achieved a lot as a player. But this here, he needs to do his homework. He can contact me. Hell, say, oh, you LeBron James fan? You can send this to him for all I care. I'll share him good information. I'll share him memorable information. And don't worry, I'm not talking to a Trump supporter either. All right? But this is the Twilight Zone, bizarro world. Oh, yeah, celebrity. Oh, yeah, I'll have celebrities endorse somebody. So all you folks out there that love sports, that worship these athletes, I'm a sports fan myself, but it's more as entertainment, not my church. Do your homework, all you guys. Trust me, you won't regret it. You'll feel better too. You'll thank me later. And you know what? That is it. I made it a little bit short and sweet today. So I can thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share this throughout your social media networks. That includes all the archives on my speaker page. If you have any questions, comments, or send me something that's very interesting that I haven't heard, haven't checked out yet. Whatever you do, please send your correspondences with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Tumblr. YouTube, Freedoms Network, and Scene.life. I goofed up last time. I didn't say Scene.life. I said iHeartRadio twice on my last show. So, hey, I'm human. I make my errors too. Or if you want to email me, you can hit me at LokiLuck3, which is LokiLuck number 3 together, at gmail.com. Yeah, I'm going to play you a song. The band from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, called Voivod. It's off their Angel Rat album. Very underrated, I would say. It's not really thrash because I've followed Voivod almost 30 years, and during that time, I've seen them like evolve and got more technical. They got thrasher more technical than Dementia Hatros, and of course Nothing Face. I've seen them like 4 times. Real good band, and the guy Piggy, may so be forever free. He was a great guitar player. They made waves. I will have to say that. And I think one of the cool shows I've seen was the Nothing Face. They played with Soundgarden. Soundgarden was supporting act and the Big F. Soundgarden was from the Loud and Love album. That's the only time I've seen that group. So that was Soundgarden. And I say that out of respect. But Clouds in My House. That's the name of the song I want to play for you guys. Hopefully you enjoy it. All right, my friends. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.